Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to Oceans 2015, Washington, D.C. You're in the right place at the right time. We're going to get started. Thank you for your patience on getting underway. We will be done on time because we have a lot of exciting things for you on the exhibit floor immediately following the plenary session. I'm Rusty Mirick. I'm one of the co-chairs from the local organizing committee. We represent are backed up by the two sponsoring societies, and very happy and pleased you're all here. I'll get into that more in a minute, but first I have some acknowledgments and accolades I'd like to shout out. The staff of the Gaylord National, first and foremost, most appreciate their support for this conference all week, especially the hospitality crew, the facilities guys, and security. I'd like to also thank my fellow co-chair, Jim Barbera. Jim hails from Rockville, Maryland, local, and two of us have been planning this conference with a lot of help for about 5 years, so it helps that frequent contact with Jim has been a big plus, and the two of us have been honored to work with a lot of professionals to bring you this particular venue. We also have some terrific honorary co-chairs that we signed up a couple of years ago. The marquee names that we think mean a lot to you, this Oceans community writ large, whether you're industry, academia, government, a student, international member, all welcome and all can appreciate the two honorary co-chairs we're so pleased to announce, and they're in our website for the past 2 years. The Honorable Sam Farr works on the Hill, will be here visiting us later in the week, and with us today you'll hear from shortly Dr. Rick Spinrad from NOAA. The local organizing committee I touched on, big acknowledgement to those folks. They're in the back of your program. All 15 to 20 or so have been crucial to delivering what we think will be a super technical program. Our exhibitors, they're not probably among us right now. Who's an exhibitor here to hear the plenary session? A couple. And that's because most exhibitors are setting up right now on the exhibit floor for you, so they're ready when you arrive in about, when I'm done talking. And I really appreciate, Jim and I appreciate what the exhibitors have done to get their materials and set up for a fine conference. The technical speakers, the vast array of folks that are volunteer, wrote papers, submitted abstracts, were selected, assigned tracks. You'll be participating among them for the next 3 days. That includes the tutorials, the workshops, the town halls. All those voluntary efforts make for a particularly entertaining and interesting conference. I want to thank our co-participating societies. We have one, the Historical Dive Society. They're set up in the exhibit floor. I want to thank all the volunteers that make today and this week possible. Specifically, a shout out to those students at the Massachusetts Maritime Academy, those Naval and Coast Guard officers assigned to the metropolitan Washington, D.C. region. They're here on their own time to help guide you. Of course, our patrons make an event like this possible. As nonprofit societies, we really rely on patrons to bring you that level of technical program that you expect and deserve. And so a big thanks to Newfoundland Labrador, to NOAA, National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, to ONR, the Office of Naval Research, and finally to Kongsberg. Kongsberg sponsored the lanyards you're wearing for your ID badges. Thanks to those sponsors for making this possible. Our sponsors, I mentioned two societies. The Marine Technology Society is one sponsor. The other joint sponsor is the International Electrical and Electronic Engineers Oceanic Engineering Society. Those two societies have been in cahoots together for decades, putting on 2 oceans conferences every year, one in the continental United States, one outside the continental United States. And with our sponsors, we have our guidance, our business rules, our support, our reach back for professional services, and really appreciate the backing of the sponsors. So a little bit about the slogan for this particular conference. It was chosen a number of years ago on a guess of what would be on your minds and pertinent to you today in October 2015. I think we guessed right. Sea change. Dive into opportunity. Now, sea change is a veiled reference to things are changing. We're not sure exactly what they're going to look like, but what we do know is they're not going to be the same. And it wasn't meant as a metaphor to be taken literally about atmospheric conditions, like some may think, but actually it was a pointer towards those things globally in our national and political, our economic environments that are changing, that are quite different than what we've seen in the world and in the United States in the last 100 years. We definitely are between and betwixt something, not know what, but something's changing. And where do you want to be? You want to be leaning forward. Just to bring that home a little bit, there was a report out by the director of the intelligence community for the United States, and it was a report on megatrends. This is the background to the slogan. The megatrends for the United States, at least, projecting to 2030, showed a growing middle class around the world. That's good news. Growing prosperity around the world. That growing prosperity would be led by several countries emerging by 2030, and the first of which, with the largest economy projected in 2030, according to this report, is China, followed by India and Brazil as those rapidly growing countries that would also demand a third mega trend. Resources. Natural resources, fuel, and water resources would be the most stressed in a few decades. That's probably not news to this crowd, but how exactly that's going to pan out and what that means for us all, whether we live in the United States or elsewhere, remains to be seen, and technology is certainly a piece of what the future is going to hold, how easily or how difficult those resources are going to be distributed to the human population that needs them. So that was the background to what we thought would be something on the order of a slogan that would be as much an exhortation to technologists, scientists, teachers, and engineers to innovate, embrace the change as a challenge, turn to Mother Ocean for new solutions to old problems, and to lift stagnant economies around the world and struggling peoples around the globe. That's a little heady, but I think as we get through today, tomorrow, I think you'll understand what we believe is a indicator of things are going to be different. You don't have to believe me. I am giving an opinion here, but let me quote the founder of Amazon. I think Jeff Bezos put it a lot more succinctly than I can. I'll just quote here what he says about resilience in the face of change. Quote, "What we need to do is always lean into the future. When the world changes around you and when it changes against you, what used to be a tailwind is now a headwind. You have to lean into that and figure out what to do, because complaining is not a strategy. And adapting to whatever the future holds is exactly what we want to address from an oceans context."